And now, podcasting from the sun-scorched desert Southwest, weighing in at a combined total of 340 pounds, Brad Winchester, Tyler McDowell-Blanken, are Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody. We are going to talk about Sasha and Naomi and the current state of affairs with their program, their status within the WWE. Things are weird, Tyler. I'm not really sure what to make of all of this.
Yeah, Brad, similarly, I pulled up the report on my phone just in case you wanted an official sort of news-like presentation of this information. But I think if you're listening or watching us right now, you're probably aware of the report that came out of Monday Night Raw. Sasha and Naomi reportedly put their tag team championships on John Laurinaitis' desk, head of talent relations in WWE, and said we're walking out. So I'll just read a piece of Fightful's official report. They sent this on May 17th, so I'll read part of it. Contrary to other reports, it was reiterated to us by numerous sources close to the situation that while Naomi was scheduled to win the six-pack challenge, winner faces Bianca at Hell in a Cell, she was not to pin Sasha Banks as the match was pitched to the talent involved. In fact, according to those close to the match, it was being planned so Naomi and Banks were not supposed to attack each other. Blah, blah, blah. It goes on. Based on WWE's statement, it appeared that Naomi and Sasha felt uncomfortable or unsafe working with two of the four women, which hadn't made it back to those talent themselves until the statement was issued. Last part I'll read. To the contrary, we were told that the issue was about the creative surrounding the tag team championships and those being de-emphasized in the following weeks with no laid out follow-up after Hell in a Cell, which is the first Sunday in June.
Yep.
Sasha Banks and Naomi have been vocal about developing more stories within the tag team division. So, Brad, it's been a wild week, man. This happened on Monday, and the WWE released a statement online and on their social media accounts, which rarely happens these days. Friday Night SmackDown, Michael Cole issues a statement on air, in part mentioning that Sasha and Naomi have disappointed the millions and millions of members in the WWE universe. Finally, Sasha and Naomi's collective and respective merchandise is off WWE shop. Brad, I don't know about you,
Crazy.
but at the beginning of this story, Monday night, I was wondering if it was a work.
Same.
And I saw there was chatter on your timeline about that as well. When their merchandise was removed, I think you and I agree that was, of course, there were things preceding that that kind of indicated this was a shoot. But once the merch was removed, the money was taken away. I don't know about you, Brad, but I thought, oh man, this is serious business, and I don't know what the next few weeks or months look like for both of these talents. We know that they're suspended indefinitely. That was part of the WWE's statement. Brad, we don't have this laid out in terms of how we want to approach this. We agreed we'll kind of go with a cold open and see what happens. So we know the bones of the story. I want to defer to you. What do you make of this situation?
Well, the t-shirt thing is the merchandise is interesting. So let's see, talent. I wanted to look it up because I remember hearing something about this. I think they're on a "We Own Your Likeness" deal. I think that's everybody in the WWE, which means they can sell their likeness, they can sell their merch, they can do whatever they want. So for the WWE to remove it, it doesn't make any sense in terms of hurting the talent. It only hurts your own revenue because people are talking about you. People are talking about your talent. Why wouldn't you want to sell that merchandise while people are thinking about it? Because a lot of people probably want to buy it to support them. What do you care about that as a business?
I was just about to say you would think that would no doubt that would increase sales on their merch, right?
Yeah.
Which in turn is making more money for WWE because people are buying tees.
So looking at this, I don't think it's a lot of people, but most WWE superstars, this is according to I think looks like it's Dave Meltzer. Most WWE superstars are now simply paid a salary and they no longer receive extra money from merch, working house shows, or pay-per-views. The guaranteed money a talent earned, though, is higher than it has ever been. The pay structure remains different for top talent. So maybe with that pay structure, it's a little bit different because Sasha Banks, I think we could argue, is a top talent, but Naomi, I think we can argue is not, at least the way that she has been booked, even though fans freaking love her.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
So I'm not really sure. It sounds like that downside guarantee sounds like it's they're paid a contract, they're paid really well, but they don't receive any money from merch. So this seems like a product of WWE shooting themselves in the foot when it comes to making money. It's like, we don't like money. We have plenty. Why do I know that? Budget cuts, pal. So there's been so much happening this year with people asking for the releases, people being cut, and so many people, especially Bully Ray, coming to the defense of the billionaires. So it's, you have a job, go work your job. You were an entertainer. It shouldn't matter. You have a script, go out there and act your script. I get that. I totally understand that point of view. That perspective makes sense. But shitty storytelling. And if you're going to call it out because you're the ones in it, I feel like that voice should be heard. And when you're not being heard, you don't have a choice other than to leave. The thing that I think is insane is that talent can't quit. Being under contract like that, or feeling like you're having a mental health crisis or whatever it might be, and just simply them going, no, you work here, we own you, is certainly a thing. Now, that being said, I don't know what to make of this. I don't believe it to be at work. I believe it to be real. I think that it reeks of Vince McMahon petty. Just being ultra petty to the point where I thought maybe Stephanie McMahon went to bat for the women, and considering that she helped build the women's evolution, all of that stuff, and helping make women's wrestling what it is today, by having pay-per-views dedicated to this, to its growth in the WWE.
Why we didn't get an Evolution 2 is still beyond
baffling,
me.
right? It's baffling. I would love to watch that.
Yeah.
But here we are, and Stephanie McMahon has taken time off. She's taking a leave of absence. It happens to coincide with Naomi and Sasha Banks. I don't know. It's probably a reach there. It's probably purely coincidental since the company is so massive, but it feels very much like maybe that's something to consider, because the women, I don't know who the big pusher was for women's tag belts being in the WWE, because they don't use them. They break up the teams to release the talent. So I understand their frustration with the only tag teams that exist are the ones that you put together when they're not in any other program, which doesn't make sense to have them in another program while they're tag champs. They should be tag champs. AEW has done this, but they make it make sense. You can't just break them up and have them fight. Jungle Boy getting title shots while a tag team champion, for example, happens a lot. Jungle Boy's out there doing Jungle Boy stuff all the time, where Naomi and Sasha are being asked to maybe wrestle each other to see who becomes number one contender, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't make sense when they've only defended the title one or two times. And there's no tag teams to defend against.
Right. You've broken up all the other tag teams, or simply release the talent.
So they're trying to build the tag team division up and try to be great tag champions, but they have nobody to face, because all they're going to do is dust off Natalya and Tamina again and have them come out there and wrestle 400 times. And nobody wants to see that. So I understand why they were frustrated with creative. I'm totally on the side of talent here, man. Like I hope they get whatever they think that they need. Reckless speculation. I think Sasha's been angling for a while to get out of the WWE. WWE affords more opportunities for larger moments. More cameras are on them. More eyeballs are on them. They have more cross-promotional business relationships. They have, at least in terms of non-wrestling business relationships. Like, nobody would be able to convince me that she gets that spot in The Mandalorian if she was on AEW or Impact. It just doesn't happen. But In 2019, she was unhappy. She took her leave of absence and she was thinking about going to AEW. It didn't end up happening. It's 2022.
And she
she's
left.
unhappy.
Correct me if I'm wrong. In 2019, when she left, that was on the heels of her and Bailey dropping the tag belts.
Yes.
I believe they lost to the Iconics at
Yep.
WrestleMania. I think it was a multi-tag women's match, but her and Bailey, I think, won the titles. Like, they didn't have a extremely long reign, but they dropped it at WrestleMania. And then I'm not saying that was the direct culprit. We know there was more to it, but yeah, Sasha took that leave of absence and was gone. And as she stated in interviews, that can be seen on Peacock, on WWE. She needed to find herself and who she was as a person, as a woman, aside from just being the performer we know as Sasha Banks.
Yeah, and it's funny because not that long afterwards, she was back being tag champs again with Bailey, but also Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion, back.
Yeah,
that was a
and then
great run. Those two
co-MVP. Yeah,
dude,
we have the same idea. Say it. You can say it. I agree.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Co-MVPs of the pandemic era, early pandemic era.
God,
I mean, they just quite literally put the company on their shoulders and made it work and did well.
Roman saved the men's division during that time.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Except Randy and Drew had great feuds going on. It just
peak Randy
a little too long. Yeah, Randy.
That was
Randy's best run, and it's so late in his career.
And Drew, like you said, Drew also put the company. I mean, there were some really standout performers, and the 5 people I heard you just mention, I think they're at the very top of that list.
So Naomi, I don't remember seeing her for a second during the pandemic era. I don't remember ever seeing her. She had a return and everybody was like, holy shit, Naomi's back. It's like, I don't know. She was gone. Like, this is, I just figured she quit.
Right. And her gimmick is so fan-based. The fan interaction and the kids seeing the colors and how electric she is. It's kind of like Otis. I think, I don't remember seeing a lot of Naomi either, but if she was there, I think her character just isn't the same when you're stripped of those fans, which is not just unique to her, but I think in particular her character really benefits from having people in the audience who, like you said, love her and want to see her win.
Orange Cassidy in Daly's place.
Yeah,
it's kind of the same thing.
Similar,
still some pops in there, but
sure,
it's not the same having other wrestlers be the audience.
Sure,
it's just not the same. So I think Naomi is, when those lights go off and the music is pumping in the background. I mean, like, how could you not get up for that? So
yeah, of course.
Sasha Banks could be the worst bad guy in the company, and people are still going to cheer for her because she rules.
The Sasha stands
she's
are real.
So massively over, and I mean, like, money just coming out from everywhere because of Sasha Banks. So
Freya has a T-shirt too.
Yes,
we should clarify.
Yes.
The blueprint.
The blueprint.
I popped so huge when you sent me the photo of the shirt you got for her. Man, that's one of my favorite photos you've ever sent me, easily.
Freya now knows when to yell boom during the Adam Cole song. Just throwing that out there. Listen, man, I'm so sad by this, but I'm also curious to see what happens next. The reason that I think it's so fascinating is that on Monday they said, Corey Graves said that they're disappointed. They just left, and they kind of alluded to what happened. And then on Friday, Michael Cole said, we're really disappointed in them and that kind of thing. And it's just like, the way that I reacted to that was like, well, that's bullshit that you have to do that. There's no way that was Michael Cole. No way that was Michael Cole. I bet Michael Cole agrees. Michael Cole is WWE forever. He likes stuff when it's about AEW not being good, that kind of thing. So, like, he's very much a Monday Night Wars guy. But Pat McAfee's reaction was the part that got me.
So great.
Because I don't think he knew it was coming. I also don't think Pat McAfee would say it if he was asked to. I just don't. Michael Cole is the right call there. But
he doesn't have to. He doesn't need WWE.
No, absolutely not. Michael Cole is the voice of WWE and has been for like the last 15 years. Yeah. So
I think he does a great job personally.
Yes, so do I. I think he's great. I think he and Cole are perfect together.
Mm-hmm.
Or he and McAfee are perfect together.
Yeah.
And it's been it's been magic what they've been able to do on the commentary table. So for them to bury Naomi and Sasha, for Michael Cole specifically to do it. Corey Graves does it. Who gives a shit? It's Corey Graves. Who cares? Michael Cole doing it, that means something. So that one was, I think it can't be understated that they had Michael Cole do it versus Corey Graves, who Corey Graves does a pretty good job, because that's how he sounds every damn week when he talks into the mic.
Never heard you do a Graves before. I like
it's because it's hard to do. It tastes bad.
Yeah, I no, Brad, your comments are making me think a lot here. 2 points I just want to hit on. One, I was listening to, speaking of Fightful, obviously we follow their work. I think Will Washington of the Grab City podcast, Love Will, thought he made a really interesting point on their episode this past weekend when he brought up an example from entertainment from years ago with Janet Hubert, formerly Aunt Viv of the Fresh Prince, the original Aunt Viv, our queen, when she disappeared from Fresh Prince. I don't know about you, Brad, but when she disappeared from Fresh Prince back in the day, that was a huge deal. And they even brought it to light on the show when they had the first episode with the new Aunt Viv. Forgive me, I should know her name, but the lighter skin Aunt Viv. They made a joke on the show of like, oh, you look different, Aunt. And then, laugh track, and then you move on. But Will's point was that Janet Hubert was seemingly just blacklisted from the entertainment industry because Will Smith, whether he knew the effects of this or not, essentially gave the impression, or just flat out said, Janet is tough to work with. And when you're a Black woman in the entertainment industry and then you get labeled with they're tough to work with, sure, they just go another route, it's increasingly difficult to find opportunities, such as Janet Hubert has said this. And I watched the Fresh Prince reunion thing they had on HBO a year or so ago. And this was addressed, and Will and her sort of worked it out. And that was a beautiful moment for the culture to see. But my point here is that I thought Will made a really astute observation in comparison, in that the verbiage from WWE in the statement that was posted online, in what you said Corey Graves and Michael Cole read, it just seemed like for Sasha and Naomi, the way WWE responded and said disappointing, and they walked out, and it just sort of felt different, man, because this is not the first time a talent has walked out before. It seemed like for these two, for Sasha and Naomi, the handling of it was just very troubling to me. And I know you and I spoke about Big Swole and Tony Khan months ago, that this gave me vibes of what is it when there's talent who happen to be Black involved, and particularly Black women. There's something about these businessmen and how they operate when you have a disgruntled Black employee, specifically a Black woman, and how they go about treating them, that doesn't sit right with me. And I just wonder if this were, let me put it like this, man. This is a long point I'm making here. When Charlotte and Becky had that segment, do you remember months ago when they were, this was in preparation for their Survivor Series match?
Oh, yeah.
And they had that both of them had a belt, and the belt fell to the ground, and they threw it at each. Like, that was an absolute disaster, was it not? For your belt to be just disrespected on
embarrassing
TV like
as hell.
Vince could not have been happy. I just, like, that happened, and we saw that. I know that this is not exactly apples to apples, but it's at least all fruit that we're talking about here. I don't think, maybe apples to oranges. I think we're still operating in the same world here, in the same space of like, what is it about Sasha and Naomi? I mean, we know what it is, but I just think the way they handled it is so indicative to other examples we've seen in entertainment, or even examples we see in our own workplaces, Brad. When you and I work together, for our listeners and viewers out there, you see things like this where talent of color, and Black women in particular, are treated away, and it just leads you to ask questions and like, man, should I even support this company if they're doing Sasha and Naomi like this? And you said, Brad, like, Sasha and Naomi are standing on the hill of, we want better creative, and we want, presumably from what we read, their point was, we want these tag titles to matter. We were promised that we were going to be given long-term booking with these, and then they weren't. And here we are now. They walk
Yeah.
out and we get news that they're suspended indefinitely, which I've not seen talent treated that way before.
No, Mustafa Ali very publicly asked for his release, and they just said,
Yes, he
"No, you're
did.
not." But they didn't suspend him. They
No.
just said, "No, you're not." But you buried him pretty well, and then
Yeah.
you have
And he
all
was
these
right for
other.
doing it.
Yeah, we have all
Yeah.
this talent doing stuff like that all the
Yeah.
time. This is not new. It's crazy to me to think that they got suspended. Why? Why now? Did they say people power mockingly to John Laurinaitis when they handed him the belts?
Great
Like
callback. Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't understand what happened there. So it's frustrating to no end. I am not a regular watcher of the product because the booking has been so effing bad,
You know,
even
I'm
though
not
the
either.
talent's great. It's just
Yeah.
Raw has had some really good stuff lately, but it's also had like 3 matches on a 3-hour show. What are we filling the time with? Like, good God.
Right.
Naomi and Sasha are sitting right there. If you gave Tony Khan 3 hours, I mean, forget it. He also needs it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. No doubt. And in terms of the reckless speculation point, I was just going to say, I think part of the intrigue of this conversation is what comes next. We don't know how long they're suspended. We just there are a lot of remaining questions for Naomi. It seems like she has more roots in WWE. We know her husband also works there. We know that she's been given some pushes, and like you said, Brad, she's just incredibly over. Part of me, reckless speculation, thinks or could envision that Naomi would return to WWE.
Agreed.
And hopefully be given something of substance, creative of substance.
Join the bloodline.
Join the bloodline. Should have happened a year ago, but we still want it now. For Sasha, as you alluded to, it really feels as though she's reached a point. This is the second time that a situation like this has happened, right? You cited 2019 when she left. She's leaving again. But this time WWE saying you must go away. But then B, she's a made woman. And we have the Broken Skull Sessions interview in which she says, I don't know if this is in character or not, Brad. You let me know your thoughts.
Absolutely not.
The infamous quote of, I'm not just happy to be here anymore. I'm not just satisfied with, good job and a hot dog. I eat, this is a badass quote. I eat steak like Vince McMahon too. Sasha has the partnership with Disney, as you laid out for us. And also tell me you don't want to see Mercedes KV in AEW. Jade versus Mercedes KV. Brad, please print all the money for that. I need that to happen at some point. So I'm just intrigued in terms of where you think they go from here. Is there a chance that one of or both of them come back to Vince?
I mean, there's a chance they both come back. I think Sasha's the one to leave. Naomi's the one to stay. I think the easiest thing in the world is to have Naomi join the bloodline with the idea that Roman got her job back because she's family. Wow. But I can see there be some really problematic things in there where she has to like bow to her tribal chief and stuff.
Oh,
like,
yeah. We don't want that.
I'm absolutely afraid that Vince is going to go full Vince and make it really, really uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. But there's hope there that he doesn't and that they go, yeah, you're in the bloodline now. Maybe she comes out to help in a match or something. I don't know. Maybe she's all glowed up and then she takes somebody out and the next week you see her wearing some white Jordans and some track pants or something. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. I think it would be gold.
I think it'd be amazing. So I would love to see her do that. I would also love to see her just come back and be what she is. I would love to see her, if the Hurt Business was still in play, I would have loved to see her in the Hurt Business. Have her, instead of coming out in glow stuff, coming out in gold stuff. Could have been amazing. There's so many things. I just love her. I love watching her perform. She has some stuff that nobody else does in a way unique. That nobody else does it. Yeah.
Right,
and
right.
Sasha, I could see Mercedes Varnado going to just Hollywood, but I don't think her heart's there. I think she likes doing that and it's a new challenge, but her whole life has been pro wrestling. Since she saw Eddie.
I'm telling you. Yes.
Like
She
imagine,
can't leave us. She can't leave us like that.
no, imagine next year she wins the Owen. Makes all the sense in the world
Yeah.
that she would win the Owen.
Yeah.
That she's the world
Man,
champion.
that would be amazing.
That she's defending in AEW and New Japan. She comes back as
Right.
IWGP.
Yes.
Like,
you
get
know that
out of
has to
here with
happen.
that. Yes,
if she's
of
not
course.
Back, if she's not back in WWE, which again, maybe she comes back and the relationship is mended with Vince, because there does seem to be some warmth there, unless she's working full character on Twitter. Man, it just seems like the AEW fit would be. It would fit like a glove. The New Japan relationship, the more creative freedom. Like you said, this has been her whole life. We know that's a shoot.
I also feel like she's been limited. We've gotten to see what she can do, and doing this stuff, like, dude, I still think about that tope she did in that Mania match. Like, holy hell, she's fearless. Like,
Yes.
I want to see her do some more stuff. With people that are willing to do it with her, that are willing to come up to her level. Does AEW have that right now? I don't know that it does. I don't know that AEW has that level consistently on the men's side of things, for Christ's sake. Forget about the women's side of things. Like, we talked about the booking of the women's division. Jamie Hayter and Sasha Banks would be a banger. Jamie Hayter, Sasha Banks and Sheeta would be incredible. Thunder Rosa and Sasha.
We
amazing.
need Sasha versus DMD.
Oh my
Has to
God. It
happen.
has to happen, right?
Well,
like, that's got to be the one that happens.
And I think the last point I want to make, because we could probably go an hour easily
Riho
talking
and
about all the
Sasha.
facets. Riho and Sasha. I wonder if part of Sasha's frustration is that it would seem in the pecking order of women in WWE, she is not seen as a top 2 or top 3 star. Ronda is back. If the reports are true, we know Ronda's back. She's champion, and one would think perhaps I thought I read this on a report somewhere. I forget if it was Fightful or other, but Ronda was maybe being positioned to defend her belt against Sasha, with Ronda going over, of course. And we know Ronda already beat Sasha at the Royal Rumble a few years back. So my point here is that if we were to sort of power rank how WWE views their women, I think you have Charlotte and Ronda clearly at the top. Correct me if I'm wrong. You then have maybe Becky third. And then I would argue jostling for that 4th spot is either Bianca or Sasha. Although I think WWE is very high on Bianca, and they damn well should be.
Yeah, right.
I think Sasha at best is 4. Maybe you can convince me they view her as 3. Maybe, but in AEW, Brad, she walks in day 1, and
top star.
She's right there with Jade, if not above Jade, just based on her body of work.
Yeah.
She is it from day 1 if she enters AEW.
Totally agreed.
That's got to be a nice feeling.
Yeah, but again, WWE made that. So she is a WWE homer. She didn't begin wrestling in WWE, but she damn sure learned how to be a wrestler in WWE. She is an early NXTer. She grew up in the NXT system, ended up winning there, ended up going to WWE. She's had a hell of a run. She actually doesn't really need to do this anymore. So I don't know what her body feels like right now. She could be hurting in all kinds of ways. I have no idea. And I know we're ignoring the fact that Naomi probably feels the same way. They're about the same age. Neither of them have children. So maybe this is Sasha. I know is a person of faith. I don't know what her views on having children are. Maybe it's her time to go have some kids or have a child, if that's something that's in her interests. And then maybe come back to wrestling later. I don't know. They're also suspended indefinitely because I don't know when her contract is up, but she signed an extension like 2 or 3 years ago.
Right. Reports are that they could be up within the next
Real
few
quick.
months, right? 2 to 3 months.
So maybe they're just suspended until the contracts are up and they're worried about the negotiations. So
that could be possible.
If that's the case, they know damn well as soon as that contract's over, she can do whatever she wants. Whatever she wants. I don't know what the rules are with suspended indefinitely. My guess is they don't want to do releases. They want to do suspended indefinitely to long-term delay them their ability to find work elsewhere. But the way around that is you could talk to other talent about wanting to go in, and then you kind of third party it. But nobody would ever admit that kind of stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know that Sasha doesn't retire. I really don't. If she can't be in WWE main eventing WrestleManias, getting the spotlight of spotlights in terms of wrestling, I don't know if she wants to step down from that. AEW booking wise is a step up. Viewer wise, entertainment wise, I don't know that it's a step up. I feel like it's probably a step down. She's definitely not going to make what she was making there, and she might with merch. But I know Cody got a significant pay grade upgrade, but Cody was also not Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare. Cody was Stardust and shit. So totally different scenario. Sasha's at the very top and has been at the very top. So I don't know that she goes to more of the very top. She's not CM Punk, but it could be that kind of pop. It would be a sustained roar when she debuted.
Oh, it would be. We can't undersell that. It absolutely would be.
No, my God, the lights go out. We gotta have that, right? And then it's just it's the way Adam Cole debuted, because I did not see that coming, right? Like we were all waiting for Bryan Danielson, and then Adam Cole shows up. And that was a right-handed hook and then a left-handed uppercut 3 minutes later. Just absolutely insane.
This is not an original thought by any means, but it's so difficult to try to understand what motivates these very talented, artistic, creative individuals. We just don't know, right? Like Jon Moxley, he let his contract go all the way. He was super unhappy with creative in WWE as Dean Ambrose, WWE.
Have you read his book? Have you read his book?
No, I need to.
It's amazing. There's the end of one of his chapters just ends with "fuck Kevin Dunn." Like
I saw that on Twitter. I need to get my hands on that book.
It's a great read. It's so, just pure unfiltered Mox. But yeah, to your point, very unhappy.
Yeah, I don't know what his contract is like in AEW as compared to WWE, because he was probably making some good dough in WWE. But man, he wanted that creative freedom. We've heard FTR, speaking of valuing tag team wrestling, which is a whole other aspect of this story that we haven't really launched into. FTR, I think we would agree, probably not making as much as WWE offered them. They may have even said that on the way out. I think they were offered like $850,000, but they declined and said, no, we want to go to AEW. And it's not. They've said for sure, it's not. The money is not the biggest factor for us. It's the art. It's the valuing of tag team wrestling. It's not about put the straps on us. It's about, are we valuing tag team wrestling?
There's a 0% chance they aren't making way more money than they would have in the WWE. Not way more. They're making way more money now. From the matches they're having outside of AEW, they get paid extra for those. So it's not like they're getting on an AEW contract and then they're not getting extra. I mean, they had a match with the Briscoes, an all-timer.
Well, especially over the last few months, like they've really
the last 6 months for
peak of their powers.
Oh my God, it's maybe the greatest run in tag team history for anybody ever. So, but between that and the FTR shirts, the FTR merch, all rules, they're doing just fine, and they're able to do all that stuff because they're not on a WWE contract. If they were, they wouldn't be able to go have. They wouldn't be able to wrestle. They wrestled Rock and Roll Express. They had Tully in AEW, but then to have Brett, they got to have Brett, bro. They got to have Bret Hart in their corner. That has to be a dream, right? Like they're getting 100%. They're getting to wrestle New Japan talent. They get to wrestle ROH talent, Impact talent. They're the freaking AAA champions right now.
Yeah, they are.
And they work in AEW. It doesn't make any sense, but it's awesome. It's awesome. So I totally get it. Sasha and Naomi must be looking at that going, I want to be able to do that kind of stuff. I want to be able to go from place to place to place, collecting belts and putting on really compelling stories and having matches that matter, that have stakes. The WWE used to do this so well when they were the WWF. Tyler, I'm convinced that becoming a publicly traded company watered down and diluted the product to a point where they don't know how to be creative anymore because their hands are so tied. I want to see wrestling go on a streaming service. I don't care if it's not going to do as well in terms of like eyeballs on the product.
Mhm.
But you can't tell me HBO Max isn't putting up like Herculean numbers enough to simply run a wrestling company with television contracts the way that they have them in TBS TNT, because you could still do advertising during the show for products and placements for live events. I feel like you could easily do that to generate profit, because you don't have to filter anything on that. There's no complaints coming down from the network or from the FCC about John Moxley saying, hey, bleep that guy, get that guy out of here, that piece of shit.
Just watch that clip again over the weekend.
It's so good. Or the crowd chanting, you sick bleep, or you bleeped up, or whatever, or shut the bleep up, which we had this week again.
Yeah.
There's so much of that stuff that happens that I could see that happening organically on a show like that. Then the runtime doesn't matter. The match goes long. So what? We don't have to cut. It doesn't matter. Maybe it matters. If it's not streaming, it matters. If it's live on HBO, then it matters. But
right. Yeah. Of course.
If it's on HBO Max exclusively, then it doesn't. You could do live events on there.
It's the way of the future. I mean, it has to happen.
It just
especially for HBO. I think HBO AEW, we've spoken about it at length. It makes too much sense.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're headed, man.
And imagine what Sasha and Naomi could do if they were there. Naomi, I don't think fits in AEW, but I could see Naomi in Impact.
Oh, so, yeah. Like, Mia Yim is crushing it there right now.
Exactly. And Naomi's gimmick would work perfectly in Impact, actually. Yeah. I think it would be great. Even if she switched it up a little bit, it would be great. Sasha, I can't see working in Impact. It's weird, but I cannot see Sasha Banks in Impact.
I 1000% agree with you.
I can see her in Japan. I can see her in AEW. I cannot see her in Impact. She's not going to ROH, but she might work with ROH, which would be the perfect marriage if she went to AEW. There's just so many opportunities at AEW right now. But I want her to do whatever she feels like is the best thing. But to your point, who is the best? Name the top 5 men's tag teams in WWE right now. You don't have to rank them.
Sure.
Or just the first 5 that come to your mind.
Absolutely. I got you. Street Profits, RK Bro, the Usos. Man, that's in terms of who comes to my mind as someone who doesn't watch the weekly product. I would say the
Alpha Academy,
the War Raiders, and Alpha Academy. There you go.
Yeah. Are they the War Raiders or the Viking Raiders?
I think they're the Viking Raiders. Good call.
Because
I missed their NXT days.
Well, they wrestled on NXT this week.
Yeah.
So
2.0. What a time.
Well, 2.0.
Exactly.
I can't think of anybody else. I'm sure we're missing somebody here.
Like Los Lotharios.
Yeah.
Much more prominent, I would say, than the Viking Raiders. Like they're on, like they're getting. You're right.
No.
Academy.
No. I'm totally.
I think their trajectory. If you were to put stock into a team, you probably want to put your money on Los Lotharios, not the Viking Raiders at this moment.
I love RK Bro, but I don't consider them a tag team. I know they're a good tag team and they work well together, but it's 2 individual stars, not a tag team. It's not FTR. Dax, I love Dax in matches. I love Dax doing individual matches. I know he's not going to win individual titles, and that's fine because he's one of the best wrestlers in the world, and we get to watch him wrestle. It's kind of the way that I feel about Randy Orton and Riddle. They're incredible wrestlers, and they're tagging together. And it feels like when somebody of Randy Orton's caliber has been running in a tag team program for like a year now. Whoa. So you just struggled coming up with 5 on the men's side, which is in a much better place. A much better place than the women's. Who are the other women's tag teams?
Yeah. And if we're going by the rules of true tag teams, Doudrop and Nikki Ash don't count. Yep. When it was Liv and Rhea, I don't even know, man. You have Toxic Attraction in NXT.
You have to call them up because it's all you got.
Who else is there? Natalia and
Natalia
Shayna?
Tamina, with Natalia and Shayna. Shayna and Shayna and it wasn't Natalya. It was Shayna and somebody else were teaming for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, it was Nia, who's no longer with the company.
Yeah. You had
They were-
Zelina and Carmella entered
Yep.
WrestleMania as champs.
But they just keep breaking them up.
Yeah. Or releasing them. The Iconics.
Or releasing them.
Gone.
Well, okay. The entirety of the Iconics, they broke up the Riot Squad to split Liv from Ruby, which is fine because Liv rules and Ruby looks really happy in AEW. The Iconics are done with wrestling entirely, it seems, which sucks. I don't think it would have happened had they left, but I also think the opportunities that they got wouldn't have happened if they left either. So there's that. Yeah, bro, the state of tag team wrestling in the WWE it's a joke right now. And I all the talent that you mentioned, Alpha Academy, Usos, RK Bro, Street Profits, those four alone, I could just live with watching them wrestle in various combinations for a while, but that's because they have to. They don't have alternatives. I was going through my head trying to figure out, like, when I loved tag team wrestling in the late 90s, who were all the tag teams? There were quite a few. Obviously Edge and Christian, the Dudleys, the Hardys, but then after that you got the New Age Outlaws. You got the Headbangers were still kicking around in there. We had LOD 2000 with Puke with Darren Drozdov.
Great callback.
And then who else do you have after that? I can't. Every once in a while we get the ECW guys in there. We get the Blue Meanie.
Right.
But we had the APA. We had
of course.
We had just sort of the acolytes that weren't the APA.
Yeah.
Who was it? Viscera and Midian.
Yeah. Viscera and Midian.
Yeah.
Nostalgia.
Right.
Nostalgia city here.
You also had the Brothers of Destruction at times.
Definitely.
But that's the same thing as RK Bro.
Yeah. Kane and RVD had a run early to mid 2000s.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of all the other tag teams, but there were a lot. I think we just rattled off like 7 or 8 pretty quickly that were consistently there. And I'm still probably missing people. I just my mind is blank right now, and it's just sort of now it's just shrunk down to this tiny little pot of hodgepodge teams. On the men's side, it's in much better shape, but the Alpha Academy is not necessarily a tag team. It's 2 individual stars that are tagging together like RK Bro, where the Usos are clearly a tag team, where Street Profits are clearly a tag team. Like the Viking Raiders are clearly a tag team. It works for them. RK Bro is not clearly a tag team. It's just working. It's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's working really well.
Because it doesn't make any sense. I guess you can count Ray and Dominic in that mix, but the Dirty Dogs. We can't forget about the Dirty Dogs.
The Dirty Dogs, Dolphin and Robert.
Yeah. But it's like I don't know. I just don't buy that any of those guys are going to win. And then they win and you go, what the hell? It just doesn't, your reaction shouldn't be, what is this? Not, it should be like, holy crap, I can't believe they won. Not, the hell is this thing that just happened? Yeah. And that's sort of the way that women's tag team wrestling has been in the WWE for the last
For sure. It's not, I guess in summary for me, it's not surprising that WWE seems to really lack a lot of care and value toward tag team wrestling, but it's just so sad because I don't know about you, Brad, and you and I have talked wrestling. We talk about it weekly and then we text about it daily. Really.
Yeah, daily.
No, it is the foundation of our friendship, truly. Yes. But it's a tough pill to swallow when tag team wrestling is my favorite part of this business. Agreed. Like, give me a great tag match over, I think, anything else, truly. And so when the biggest, dare I say, professional wrestling company, even though we know it's a sports entertainment company, when the biggest professional wrestling company in all of the world, all of the universe, pun intended, doesn't value tag wrestling seemingly a lick, that's just a tough pill to swallow because it's my favorite thing about wrestling. And part of, I think, why the competition, AEW, gets us so excited is because, man, you and I, like, how excited are we when we rattle off all of the tag teams in AEW? I mean, it's just, and again, that's on the men's side. They don't have a tag team championships for the women, but on the men's side, Brad, in AEW, you and I could spend the next 5 minutes listing
Yeah.
all the teams we love.
Yeah.
So it's always sad when it's like, oh yeah, that's right, WWE doesn't care about this thing seemingly as much as I do.
Yeah. And I think Tony already has several other belts made up that he's keeping hidden. It sounds like the obvious one that's coming is the trios belt. That'll happen at some point. Can't wait for those.
Yeah.
But it's the one that got me interested in it is that they don't have a tag belt for women, but they might have a tag belt for an intergender tag. So I would love to see that. If you can get Ethan Page, the Pages together, and Paige Van Zant as a tag team, that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Sammy and Ty,
inaugural champs, Sammy and Ty.
Yeah. Heels. Yes,
Heat.
exactly.
Yes.
But then maybe you get somebody else. That would be the perfect time for Miro to reappear, but with Lana. Wrestling with his wife could be really fun.
Do you think that would be a case of too many belts in the company? If
way
we
too
had
many
the
belts,
trios
but I absolutely think it's way too many belts.
Yeah.
If the rumors are true about these Owen belts, what does that mean? FTW needs to go away. They've done nothing with it. I don't care that Ricky has it. I love Ricky Starks. That belt is so stupid right now. It meant something when it debuted. It ruled for a little while. Brian Cage had it and was killing people with that belt. And then eventually they made him a babyface and then booted him out of the company, it felt like. I need Ring of Honor to start to know where all this stuff is headed. Because right now there's 850 belts in the company right now, it feels like. And you know my feelings about too many belts. You just know how it is. And it's confusing when it's like, FTR is like, yeah, we'll wrestle and we'll put our AAA titles on the line. It's like, Jesus. All right, we're watching you put titles that don't belong to the company online. And over here, we got the TNT title that was just wrecked in the parking lot. The company's most prestigious title, you could argue, being smashed with a sledgehammer. While we know full well that immediately to the left here is another goddamn title. And it's just, why are you destroying this? Why does it even mean anything? If I was Scorpio Sky, then I would be like, you're an idiot. I have another one. It's at home. Why are you so stupid? And instead, we look at WWE and we do a lot of bashing of how they book and those kinds of things. But it's almost undeniable the level of talent on the women's side. And for Naomi and Sasha to be in this particular situation as two Black women, as you pointed out, it's I don't want to say the word, but you know what I'm thinking. It's
not a good look for WWE.
Yeah.
And people online to be, I think, so vigorously or vehemently, I guess, defending WWE. And your opinion is your opinion and it's valid. And I think there's validity, like you said, Brad. You totally understand the idea of like a Bully Ray saying you signed a contract.
Yeah.
Honor that contract. And I would imagine even some of our listeners and viewers probably adhere to that philosophy as well.
All bosses.
I think we have to recognize exactly what you said, the context, and just it felt different the way WWE reacted to this. And I think it's exactly clearly for the reason you said. We can't ignore that.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, man. Excited to see how it plays out. I really am. You know how much I love chaos. But I don't like it when it's somebody's livelihood or putting public. I think that's the thing that bothered me the most. The same way that we were bothered by what Tony Khan said about Swole in the tweet that did not need to be said is having kind of their issues very publicly displayed. Really, there's something about that really bothers me. Why these two women? But
you didn't do that for Marco Stunt. You didn't do that for, name the talent that's no longer there, Stu Grayson, and we love all these people, but it was different with Big Swole.
Bray Wyatt got released we wish him well on his future endeavors. Not he let us all down by asking to leave. Like
disappointed the entire WWE universe.
Unbelievable. Just unbelievable.
Yeah, not awesome, Brad, but hopefully this episode was an awesome experience for our listeners and viewers. I always talking about all the news and storylines with you. You can follow Brad, and you should follow Brad on Twitter at Winduster. You can follow me at Tyler J. McDowell. We have the website for the pod, gimmickinfringementpod.com, 19 Media Group. com. Those are all the plugs that we need to give you. Brad, I think I covered just about everything. Any last words you want to add before we get out of here?
No, I'm so tired. We've been recording for what seems like days. But I am really excited for as we record this. Not sure when it's coming out. Double or Nothing. I'm excited for Forbidden Door, but Double or Nothing is next weekend, baby. I can't wait. As we record this right now, we will be watching it next week, and I'm stoked for it. Stoked for the week. Do you know why I'm so pumped for this week, Tyler?
It's your first week of summer.
It's my first week of summer. I don't have a damn thing to do that has to do with work.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get all of this other stuff done. I'm so tired. But
Hey.
I'm gonna go fix the car after this. I think that's what's gonna happen.
Man, perfect way to wrap up. Thank you all so much for supporting us. We hope you will consider leaving a review, sharing the pod with someone you love who you think they would enjoy it as well. And we certainly hope to see you on the next one.
Take care.
Gimmick Infringement is part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.